We're really excited here at Guitar is Dead. With us today are two of the absolute legends, the prime movers of the Orlando, Florida punk scene. Mike Brown of Damage, the synth punk legends. Mike Bales of Lovegods and Leisure Suits. The Spacefish Records label was in the forefront of this really unique movement in an area you wouldn't really think of punk rock necessarily having fertile soil in which to grow. I just want to set the scene for folks here. It's 1985, the fourth decade of rock and roll. We're already in the post-punk era. Thrash is becoming almost mainstream. Down here in Central Florida, we've got sun and beaches and bikinis. And if environment informs genres, well, you think of Birmingham, England, and heavy metal, war-torn angst. You think of New York, edgy. You think of Seattle and rainy and grungy environment, but you don't think of sun-kissed Central Florida, the land of the mouths, as a place where punk is really going to take off. You're going to get a taste of what the scene was really like when Club Spacefish returns on May 16th for one night only, or maybe more, we shall see, at Conduit in Winter Park, Florida. We're going to have 7 of the most important bands in the Central Florida punk scene. That's Damage, that's Lovegods and Leisure Suits, that's the Riddlers, that's Bloody Mary, Target Earth, one of my favorites, a great trio, Stilletto, and Deficit of Dream. Gentlemen, welcome today. Thank you so much for your time. This is such an incredible event, and we're really thrilled that you're pulling this off. And we want to know how you're pulling this off.
Good question.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
There was a lot of output here. You know, Spacefish, the Spacefish record label was responsible for some great long players like Jubilee of Kindness and Come Here Often. And this is not nostalgia either. You know, Damage has a brand new record out called Modern World, available on Bandcamp. We're excited that there's new music coming out of this.
What was the genesis of this, and what's the process been like as far as, you know, getting in touch, getting people, lining up the date and the venue and things like that? What's been going into making it happen?
Damage had kind of been on a hiatus. Joe and I, the drummer, also goes by the name Skeeter.
Of course.
We had been working together for about 10 years in separate bands, but supporting each other. Janine Gage was putting together a tribute for our good friend Dave Gage, Bloody Mary, Disco Biscuit, and, you know, Spacefish recording artist. So when Damage reformed, we actually met Janine in New York. We were at a party, and she said, "Oh, we should do the album release as part of, you know, the Modern World album that you showed. We should do the album release as part of the Dave Gage tribute show." So we thought that was a great idea. So when we came down to Florida and played that show, May of 2025, Rich and Tom of Lovegods were there, and we met, you know, kind of regrouped with a lot of people. Mike was playing, Rocket 88 was playing. Where were you playing, in Tampa?
Yes.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we didn't get to meet up, but I got to see a lot of people. We stayed up all night, I think, after the show, and had been drinking a lot and had really reminiscing. And we started talking about we should do something. And I had been in communication with Mike several times about some half-baked ideas that never went anywhere. Like, oh, we should put out a book. We should do a website. We got to do this. I don't know, Mike, if you remember, I just come up with something and then we kind of die. And that's going back like maybe 3 years, I think.
Yes.
So that, to me, that's from my perspective, that was the genesis of it, was last year's Dave Gage tribute show, kind of regrouping with people. So, I mean, Mike, what do you think? And what happened?
Yeah, that's definitely it. And then it was, I think it was around November of last year when you reached out to me and you said, "Okay, we're going to try to make this happen again, and the only way we're going to do it is if Lovegods will play." And I'm like, "What? No pressure there." You know, it's like, I was telling Mike, I don't even know how that would work, because guys in the band live in different parts of the country. There was 3 different lineups of the band. Logistically, I just thought, I don't see how it can work. And Mike was very persistent in saying, "You can do it. Come on, you got to do it." He goes, "Just reach out to them and see, because I know not everyone will make it, so you'll be fine." So I reached out, and everyone all 7 guys are like, yeah, I'm in. Now we're trying to make it work logistically.
It really was, in my mind, the only way we could do it is if Lovegods and Leisure Suits were at the core of it, because that's the only thing that would make it really unique. And we had a long history of playing together, and we toured together. I thought that would be like the kernel to build around. Damage had played a show in Brooklyn, a place called Main Drag, and it's a really great music store, and they have a great live music venue. Charlie Aceto, or Charles Aceto, I don't know. I always, from way long time ago, I always say Charlie Aceto. But he came out to the show, and he said he requested Radio Shack You Suck. And so we were going to play Radio Shack You Suck. It's like, we love playing that song. And we played it, and he was like, oh my God, did you guys just play that just because I asked for it? Like, I was like, no, it was part of the set. But after Lovegods fell into place, my next thing was like Target Earth. Target Earth was a early Club Spacefish and Spacefish staple. Like, we did a cassette. Then that would be just amazing. Luckily, Charlie responded very well and was able to reach out, his bandmates. He's in New York City also. And not only is he going to fly down and do the show, but we're putting out this incredible Target Earth anthology CD. I have listened to it over and over again. It's incredible. Lovegods are reissuing Groove on It. That's kind of a strange, fortuitous story. And Damage will have a CD and a EP, a new release out for the show. And Groove on It, as I started watching some of the source videos that Mike sent me and listening to it, it's a really incredible album. I'm completely psyched. There was a point where I was putting together all the CDs and all the projects were going at the same time, including a CD for the Riddlers who were doing a reissue. And the Riddlers are another band, of course, incredible Spacefish band. That was Mike's idea. We should get the Riddlers involved. I was like, yeah, I don't know why I didn't think about that. And I love the Riddlers. We got them and we're doing the CD. So every night when I go to bed, I had like this mix. Sometimes it would be a Lovegods song, sometimes it'd be a Target Earth song, and then there's a Bloody Mary CD. I couldn't sleep. I had this music going in my head, but it's been kind of crazy. It's like I have a mixtape running in my head of all these great Florida bands.
So is it going to be everyone's original lineup?
It is going to be interesting to see how we can pull this off. I think what we're trying to do, it's going to be a little more solidified once we actually do some rehearsals. When the guys fly in from California and Washington, D.C., and I think we'll probably do the original lineup for a few songs, maybe, and then transition into the second lineup, and then follow it up with the third lineup for a few songs, and then possibly everyone on stage for the finale. I didn't want to leave anyone out. I wanted to include everyone if they wanted to participate. Some guys were with the band longer than others, but I wanted to give everyone equal opportunity to be a part of it, as long as it sounds good. That's my caveat. It's got to sound good and look good. So hopefully it will. No pressure at all.
From the beginning, Mike kept saying, I don't want to do it if it doesn't sound if it's not good, and if it doesn't look good. And I'm the opposite. Like, hey man, we're showing up, and whatever. I'm confident that the older songs will be good. The newer songs have some technical issues, but I'm always the one who half-asses it, and Mike is left to pick up the pieces. He's the perfectionist.
That's a fair overlap, though, and everybody comes at it from a different place, and I think that's okay. And you're both going to bring a lot of energy to it. I know that, and so that really translates. That goes far.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Again, it's for people who may not know, Lovegods and Leisure Suits was from 1987 to 1992. We did 3 releases. The first one, Dakar in Hell, was more kind of like a demo tape, and then we did Come Here Often and Groove on It on Spacefish. I've been doing another band for 34 years. I've been playing with Rocket 88, so a different band. So it's a totally different shift to go back to Lovegods, but it's good. It's going to be great. I can't wait.
Black Cats and Bottle Rockets might have played 2 shows with you, I think. And honestly, one of my last images of you in my head is I think you guys were like headlining. We were leaving the stage and you were loading up and you just looked great. And I was like, oh man, this is too good. Yeah, it was so much fun. So I'm happy to know you're out there still doing it.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah.
Some of these bands for me, you guys and Damage, Target Earth, and oddly enough, the Riddlers. And I only saw them a couple times, but the funny thing was they were right when I was starting to write my own music, and I was young, going out as much as I could, still trying to figure the world out. I ended up at a Riddlers show, and I was so blown away by the energy, the quality of the music, and I left there realizing, oh, I can make my own rules. Like I didn't have to get in some lane with regard to writing music. Not that I wanted to sound like them. I could sound like myself. And then seeing Damage, it was the same thing. I'm like, these guys, they're playing keyboards like this. And it's so hard. It's so epic. Like it's just, again, no rules. And Lovegods, same thing. No rules. The level of talent and the stage show and the look, and I mean this genuinely. I was like, God, and you guys basically were all peers, so near age to that time period. I felt like a babe in the woods, but I was seeing so many shows like this, and I remember seeing, I think, Target Earth at Visage maybe, and I was just blown away. They seemed so young and talented, and again doing their own thing, and it just kept uncorking. I was like, wow. So I just think, again, it was a really great time in a great music scene. As we were discussing earlier, a lot of diversity in the styles of music, a lot of good camaraderie. And for me, Spacefish was like this epicenter of the universe. Being able to go there, see all these bands, hang out, talk with people, play there, all that. It was just, man, what a vibe, the whole thing. It's just good hearing you guys talk about it, whatever you're bringing to the upcoming show. I know it's just going to be great. And it feels really good.
Winter Park and Orlando, for a music scene, I think it really punches way above its weight. The formula at that time for the hardcore and punk rock scene, I think, was that you had these major markets, like you had for hardcore, you had New York City, you had LA, you had Boston, and DC, and they really were powerhouses and kind of crafted that American hardcore sound. But then you had these smaller scenes like Arizona, Oxnard, California, all these like smaller, even Nashville, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Phoenix, Arizona, and Orlando was the same way, where I think that there was this combination of this grassroots thing that happened all over the country, but in the smaller suburban communities where punk rock was really pumping, and also I will say in New Jersey, not New York, but New Jersey, it's this combination of not knowing any better and being kind of naive and somewhat disconnected, but like reading about like this instruction manual about what punk rock is, but then interpreting it. Out of Arizona, you got bands that were like JFA, Jodie Foster's Army. You got Sun City Girls, just really eclectic. And out of New Jersey, of course, you had Bedlam and Adrenaline OD, and just really kind of slightly outside the template. In Orlando, there was kind of like this free for all where you could do that. Where maybe if you were in a larger scene, you might get tamped down a bit more.
Yeah, everybody was kind of creating their own stamp.
Mm-hmm.
There was no mold that was being shared. That was the sense I always got seeing shows there. And a lot of the bands that you booked that were touring through there, I felt kind of shared that similarity as well. That I felt like there's just a really great diversity. There was not a lot of monotony. And it's funny. It's kind of, again, you talk about the burbs, and there's that bit of teen angst and repression where I've seen small towns and bigger ones around the country where there are those groups of people. It's changed in the modern age, but there are people that this is their only way out. And so that's where you spend your time. So you get in a garage or a warehouse or mom's basement, and you play and you make noise and you grow. And I remember sometimes the bass player for one of my bands would show up and he'd only have 2 strings. And I'd say, Andy, you only got 2 strings. And he's like, yeah, I can't find the other ones. I'm like, well, what, let's go to the store. But then he would write songs with 2 strings and it would be just wonderful. There were no rules. And so you just make do with what you've got. There's a lot of that like-minded talent and thought process back in Orlando. Spacefish was this magical center of the vortex that I thought really was an anchor for so much of that.
When did you two meet?
Lovegods and Leisure Suits was in 1988. The band started in 87, but we started playing out in Orlando in 88. We played a few shows, but we did. Rich Tebow, the drummer in Lovegods, was going to UCF, and one of his professors was having a party, and Rich told him that, well, I got a band, and my band can play at your party, and you can just do a few songs, it'll be great. And so his professor was like, okay, that sounds good. So Rich told me, and I created a flyer, and Rich put them all over Orlando. So all these people show up at this guy's house. This was downtown Orlando. We played about 10 songs, and this guy comes up to me, and he introduced himself. He said, hey, I'm Mike Brown. I'm in the band Damage. And I was like, Damage? I've seen you guys so many times. And so he started talking. I said, how did you find out about this? He goes, oh, I saw a flyer in a record store. So that was May of 1988. And we just started talking, and we had so much in common. We're both artists, graphic designers by day. And then I was trying to promote Lovegods, and he was promoting Damage. And he's like, we should join forces and try to promote both bands, both of us working together. We thought we could build more momentum that way. And then Mike can talk about the label because he had already created the label for his band Damage. So, but that's how we met at that party.
Damage started kind of like in 82, 83. I was in high school, and it was a very different kind of band. And so by the time we kind of solidified, our lineup was more towards 84, 85, but we had formed the label to manage what the band was doing. I had been kind of chugging along. There was a whole scene before this, what I call the warehouse scene, that Robin and Regina were doing punk rock shows since I was, I think, 16. By the time I was in a record store and I saw the flyer, I was aware of Lovegods and Leisure Suits. I don't know if you had advertised Max Rock and Roll yet, but yeah. So I think I had seen an ad or a scene report. And you guys, where were you? Where would you say you were? You weren't really in Orlando proper. You were kind of where was it? Deland?
I lived in Altamont Springs.
Altamont. Yeah. And it sounds so funny, but to me that was it's like whole different world, So it's who are they? Because I never ran into them in my, hanging out with my friends and everything, and the parties I would go to. And so I saw the ad and I saw the scene report and what they were doing, and I found this flyer, and I was really intrigued because I thought it was really cool what they were doing. They had this cassette out. And so then I went to that party, and then later found out that there were not supposed to be flyers for that. It was a private party. I do remember distinctly going up and was like, hi, it's kind of it was like an introduction. I used to do a lot of that back then because it was kind of, you just didn't have really any other, you just go, I am so-and-so. And we just started talking, but I purposely went out of my way. Just that was the only way I could kind of catch up with Lovegods. And I didn't know Mike at the time, but yeah, I met Mike, and I think we liked a lot of the same bands and a lot of the same stuff, but Mike knew bands that I didn't know, so it kind of expanded, and we really had exact same sense of humor. I think the whole thing was based on humor more than anything, more than music. Because it's just we're just smartasses. We're really everything's a joke. Everything was a joke, and we were such a pain in the ass. But we amused each other.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. If I could make Mike laugh about some absurd theory I had about doing a show or a poster or something, I was like, okay, I've accomplished my.
Yeah. Well, Mike is very twisted. He's got a great sense of humor, and sometimes an over the top we'll
Yeah.
get better delivery, but also sometimes a very dry, subtle delivery. So anyways, it's all based. Everything has been a crock. It's all been one big joke. Spacefish, all of it. It's all a joke.
I think that's brilliant. Michael Bales, did you work on Splash?
Yes, Splash was a magazine, fanzine magazine that Spacefish Records had put out to help promote the bands and to let people know about upcoming concerts that we were doing, and also it's just another creative extension of Spacefish for an outlet for Mike and I to vent and just do some wacky stories and art.
I loved it. I laughed myself silly reading through some of those issues when I first found one. And that was cool because back then, there's that level of amount of self-empowerment. There were so many zines coming from different angles. And you guys had this real comedic take on things. Just the twisted the twisted thoughts were evident. And I loved it for that. I mean, it was just, another example of do it yourself and part of the big crock.
Splash is very tongue-in-cheek. That was the whole point, is to make it kind of absurd, but topical but absurd. That's what we were
You nailed it.
I think that by that time, the hardcore scene and music in general, music scene just took itself too serious, really. Right. And so a lot of what we did was we just thought everybody was hilarious and funny for posturing.
Yes.
And so it was a lot that, right? I mean, So it was making fun of everything. And I know that there probably are comparisons to other kinds of absurdist zines, but to me, it wasn't even National Lampoon level. It was like Mad Magazine. It was really fun for us to cut and paste stuff together and come up with really silly ideas.
You were really kind of the tip of the spear and taking that region to a new level. Did you hear about how you were influencing folks?
I think so. I think we tried to keep almost all the shows that we could 18 and up. We did a lot of all ages shows. When we started doing the shows at the Beach Club, which became Barbarella, which became Independent Bar, I think we did try to keep them 18 and up. We wanted to give upcoming bands a chance. We wanted to give bands just starting out a chance to play, a place to play, and tried to book an extremely eclectic mix of bands. We would put bands together that were like completely opposite sounding bands that, why are they on the bill together? Well, we thought it would be fun. So we tried to keep it diverse.
We really mixed it up quite a bit. Bands would come to us that were completely kind of new. And I can remember going out, like somebody would hit me up and they would have a cassette tape and I would actually we'd go out to my car while a show was going on and listen to a cassette tape. Over the years, now that it's become, whenever we post anything, and especially now, I've had people reach out to me that did say like, hey, I was, and I know that it was like 18 over, but come on, this was Florida.
Yeah.
It was like, I was 16 and I was at Club Spacefish and I'd never seen anything like this. And I formed my band. And it was because of that. And then I'll remember the band. The craziest thing is like everybody bring me cassette tapes and sit on the car. I was always blown away. I was just always like, man, this is great. And it was always something different. I don't think I'm that easy to please, but we had a really great music scene. Like I said, nobody was trying at that time to be a copycat. Or maybe we were all trying to copy something, but not doing a good job. So creating original new stuff. I was always blown away by kids with cassette tapes. I'm going to mention one that just popped in my head, Adventures in Immortality.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was blown away by them and they were so young.
Just kids, man, just kids. I was always just asking them questions like about what they were doing because they combined different influences and I thought they were amazing.
On May 16th, you're kind of resurrecting this idea of here's a showcase. What's the agenda for this big day?
Make Mike laugh.
I'll probably be having panic attacks and shitting myself. And I plan on it being a day of panic and sweat. But then at some point around 11:30, when most of my jobs are done or I just don't care anymore, then I'll start having fun.
There you go.
You always say that, but I don't think that's true. You always say that.
The plan is that we're going to do a Spacefish panel on Friday night, where we're hoping to do that in downtown Orlando. We'll have Splash Magazine. We're going to have these 5 new CD releases from Spacefish Record because we're rebooting the label. And we're going to sit down and we're going to have a panel of people who are involved with Spacefish and have that discussion. That should be around like 6:30, 7 o'clock, followed by an after party where Skeeter is going to be DJing and everybody can kind of mingle. I'm probably going to kick it off that Friday. And then Saturday, we really kind of have to hit it like around, I think we were talking about noon or 1 o'clock just for pre-setup. We're going to kick off the show, I think around 6:30. It's because it's going to be a big night. And we plan on trying to cram in 7 bands, but also do Wheel of Fish,
Yay.
which and Kiss the Cook. I just was texting with Al, the original Quizmaster Al. Mike made it a mission to locate him, and Robert from Lovegods found him, and I texted him. He is committed to coming back and reprising his role as Quizmaster Al for Wheel of Fish.
He's the guy on the cover of the Come Here Often album.
We're going to have hopefully 2 guys, very good friends of mine, Cotton Thomas and Dan McQuaig, also good friends of Mike's. We're trying to rope them in. Now, they helped a lot with the original, the actual physical location of Club Spacefish once we moved out of the beach club. They were instrumental in doing that, and Dan's going to come back. We're trying to get him to be the cook for Kiss the Cook, and he'll be cooking up, and we'll be serving pup in a cup. We had pup in a cup, nuck in a cup, and wing in a cup. Everything was in a cup, a plastic cup.
We didn't have any buns.
There was we forgot to get buns. So we would just squirt ketchup and mustard into a cup and put a hot dog in there. So we had Feasteroni, which we like. Well, I think we'll have Feasteroni again. It's just a giant kettle of any kind of Chef Boyardee product you can find and just mix it in, and that'll be served in a cup.
People that may not know about some of the Spacefish shows, we always tried to make it more. For a lot of them, we didn't want to have just a show, just have some bands play. We wanted to make it an event, so we would try to come up with themes for these different shows. Like we did a Love Connection, where we did a match game show where
that's for Valentine's, right?
Yeah, for Valentine's Day we did. And then the Kiss the Cook and the Wheel of Fish were 2 of the themed shows that seemed to be the most popular.
Wheel of Fish was endlessly humorous, and you guys did get it right. It was an event every time. It was more than just the bands. The bands were awesome, and it was just so much fun. All the other going on were hilarious and fun at every turn. I remember at some point, one night, somebody was giving dating advice. We're just dying, laughing. It was just so good. It might have been one of those matchmaking events, but I was like, this is just brilliant. It got a lot on your plate for the 16th then, it sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah. We have friends that are helping, hopefully, unless they totally screw us over. They better not.
Yeah, we flopping around like a fish on the sidewalk.
We definitely want to talk about, reconnecting. Mike Bales, you talked about you haven't played some of these songs for 40 years. Mike Brown, you've already kind of reconnected. You've brought the Damage ethos back. You've had it. You've connected. We've been connecting with it periodically. How does that inform your work on the Damage side, particularly? Where does that? What's kind of your next step?
For Damage, we had like a 10-year span in total where we put out 3 albums, a couple of 7 inches, a cassette tape over that 10-year period. I loved the band. I loved the concept and everything. So it never really left me, although I after I moved away, I was doing other musical projects. So I had always hoped to return back to it. I think I was a little shy about asking Joe about it because I didn't think he felt the same way. But like 4 years ago, I said, hey, Joe, I got my Liberation, which is the keyboard that I use, the keytar. And I said, I got it back from service and I've recorded like several new songs and said, do you want to work on some Damage material? And he was like, hell yeah. And it was so weird that we had been around each other for 10 years, and neither one of us ever said, like, let's do some Damage stuff. So we were recording that, and then that led to Modern World, that album. Almost immediately after that, I had ideas for other songs, but Joe really took the lead on this latest project that we started. It's something very different for us. It's actually an EP. It's called How to Talk to Humans. On Modern World, we had the song Black Ice, where we were kind of collaborating remotely, and then he went and recorded it. And we called it Black Ice because he was driving upstate I have a house upstate, and he was driving to go work on it in the basement up there, and he hit a lot of black ice. And he was using samples from the Club Spacefish news report after the Gigi Allen show. And I had been reluctant to talk about that. That was always, I think, the last thing. I had not talked about that for 20 years, never watched it, never watched any of it. It was really a sore spot with me. He put in all these samples, and he told me just write the lyrics. I started listening to it, and it was incredibly empowering because then all of a sudden I just leaned into it. I felt like misrepresented in that broadcast, but it helped me deal with it. So I always appreciated that. So I told him after Modern World, I said, some of that Black Ice energy, I want to do this song, How to Talk to Humans. And that was, I just had the name based on the fact that we're losing the ability to kind of relate to each other in a certain extent. And he just kind of took off with it, and he started doing this very electronic dance sound versus hardcore, which I'm always focused on. He had this concept that he was going to lay out these tracks and turn it over to remix. Started this project where we went in, we knew what the tempo was. He had me record the lyrics that I had as samples, and we just kept doing it over and over again, but I didn't know what he was doing with them. Then Joe, you think Skeeter's the drummer, but he's very talented synthesist and programmer. So he started working up these tracks, and we were kind of roughing them out, and he sent them off to these different DJs. I'm looking at a list, Richie Dio, who is from the Limelight up in New York, Knowlton Walsh, and he let them recontextualize the tracks, and in this total EDM and EBM, electronic body music style. And so the EP is called How to Talk to Humans Remix EP. It was all in parallel. They were remixing, and then we created How to Talk to Humans, the band track, which is a whole different vibe. It's a very kind of like, to me, it's very synth punk, almost goth. And I call it mid-tempo. Joe told me I couldn't call it mid-tempo because to DJs, that was 115 beats per minute. So I had to call it upbeat, which upbeat to me sounds like the mood of the song. But the song it's very kind of dystopian. So anyways, the EP will be a 12-inch dance project with like 2 remixes by Joe, a band track, 2 remixes by these renowned DJs. So it's like none of them sound the same. They're all like, so you can put it on, and it's just like you're at Beecham Theater, back in the day, and it's like pounding. And then amidst that, we have a track called Carriage Horses, which is a total full-on hardcore. To me, it was modeled after Dead Kennedys and Bad Brains, which are the bands that I love. So it's kind of slapped in the middle, and then you got our version, which of How to Talk to Humans at the end. So we kind of want to do something that was really dancey, and then all of a sudden this unexplained hardcore track just slams in and just ruins it, and it goes back to dance, and then this weird. So that's that project, and I love it, and it's really Joe created the whole thing and led it. So it's something very different for us. We have a third member, Josh Clark, that I had played in other bands with, and he's very talented, and he's also on a guitar. So that's what we're doing. So it is a little bit different. We're kind of focusing on moving into the new material in a world that's separate from the as much of the older material. It's all analog electronic. It's for me, it's always hardcore. For Joe's always loved like EDM. So it's going to be a weird mix, but we'll continue doing that probably up in New York.
I love the concept that you're still growing and diversifying. Michael, with Rocket 88, you were telling me earlier that most of it is original. Have you found different methodologies and just because of external influence, feel differently about what you're writing about?
Mark Zayas, he's the guitarist in Rocket 88. He's the songwriter. 95%, 98% of all of our material he's written. He and his brother Chuck, the bass player, are the primary songwriting. But yeah, Mark has changed. We've all changed over the years. When Rocket 88 first started, Mark always told me that he wanted to be the creative, write the music, and concentrate on for this project for Rocket 88. He wanted to concentrate on guitar and have someone else be the front man. It's been a great working relationship because he writes the songs in keys that are comfortable for me, and he knows how I perform songs, and he has that, we're able to convey what he wants out of the song and how, and I feel I'm very fortunate to have worked with them for so long. He's a great songwriter. Lyrics are so catchy, and the songs are catchy. I mean, we just played last weekend in Tampa, and we're still doing songs that we recorded in 1992. So, it's songs that people like that have, fans have seen us play for years, and definitely our outlook or mental take on the lyrics and songs have changed. But I think at least for me, the energy and still the show part of it, is still there. I'm not going to say I've mellowed because I'm going to do the show. I still do the show because that's me. That's what for me. I love being on stage, so that's what it's about.
That's a great fit. Having had that working relationship that long, whenever he comes to you with new material, is there a certain sense of excitement? If you're working on lyrics for a song yourself, that could go on for years. It's kind of turning in the background. So when your relationship, he brings you probably close to a finished product, I'm guessing. Yeah. And, you look in and go, oh, my goodness, okay, I got it. Or I'm going to work on it and I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
That seems like there's a level of excitement to that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Over the years, there's been times where he'll have a tremendous creative spurt. Well, like 4 or 5 songs are like just outstanding, and then we may go for 6 months, a year, and we may work on one song or something here or there. So it depends, but yeah, I think he is I don't like to use the word genius lightly, but he really is very, very talented writer. And he's had other bands, that he's done before on the side, Screaming Iguanas of Love and other bands. But yeah, he's a really talented guy. I'm very blessed to work with those guys for so long.
And Mr. Brown, what about for you? You writing along the way, or was this fresh incentive to start new?
I have to say that I have not matured or evolved at all. I've gotten better at hiding it, but when I'm around Mike, it kind of like falls away. And I think that, just speaking to what Mike was saying about Rocket 88, I think it was such an extension of where he had gone with Lovegods as a performer and a vocalist in that high intensity energy. And it's a really great evolution in a natural kind of next step. And I love the songs. And I love the themes. It's once again right up like all the things that I like. I was writing my music under the name NWSPR, is New Wave Solar Powered Robots, and it was very focused on new wave. And I was doing that for fun up here and playing whenever I'd play out. I would have like different supporting musicians. That was like one kind of thing. And I always thought like, I had 2 kids that are now basically almost grown. My daughter is grown. She's 22 and my son is 16. So when they were smaller, I was just kind of pretty happy, and I just couldn't really do punk rock and hardcore. I just kind of lost the voice for that. I couldn't muster the frustration or the anger. So I credit a combination of the Trump administration with me getting older and crankier. And I really think that in a way, getting older is the real punk rock, because you just fucking get so crabby. And so all of a sudden I was kind of like this, like Abe Simpson, just getting, just complaining about everything. And then you get, Donald Trump comes along, and I just started writing material where I just wanted to put maximum distortion on my keyboard and scream. And so that's where it just really came. And I was like, this is like going back, I guess like 4 or 5 years ago, I just started writing that way again. And I was just thinking, like, man, this has got to be like a really great time for punk rock. I don't know if it's going to come out, but I feel like it's just going to come back, because it kind of feels like those early Reagan years, but worse. But back then we thought that was really bad.
Right.
And so I don't know. I think it's a great time for punk rock. It's a great time for hardcore, for screaming into the void. And and like I said, I haven't matured any, and I've kind of found that voice again. So I just like doing what I do. And we're really, for me, music has always been for an audience of one. As long as I'm entertaining myself, I'm really happy. And then playing with Joe for all these years, I think he was, to me, was the drummer. I've played with a lot of drummers. He's the drummer that I just grooved with the most. I thought he was always the most talented, really great, fast player. And he's, always been a really great writing partner. So it just feels really natural when I'm doing music and everything. It's just kind of doing damage projects. It seems kind of timeless. And we just finished this, and I'm just ready to start on the next one. And I had our other member just texted me the other day. He goes, it was kind of like, hey man, we may want to thin things out a little bit. Just thin it out. He was kind of like saying, I don't know how, because Joe and I are just constantly 24 hours a day texting and emailing. And then Josh has to hear all this, and it's like, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that. And he just can't, he's like going, it's too much. It's just too much. And we're just like, all right, we'll just take you out of the conversation, like mute you for temporarily. That's just the kind of the speed that Joe and I have always been on. And so I just happy to be doing it. And for at least for the next few years, we're going to, try to expand on it.
I think that's fantastic. It's really good to hear. Both of you are still, in the trenches doing this. Again, the 16th should be a special event, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, it's fantastic.
We have our tickets, so we're planning to be there.
We'll be there,
and we can't wait. Will you record any of the show?
Yeah, that's in the works. There is a filmmaker that has a project already in progress to do a documentary on Orlando music that really focuses on the decade after Spacefish was gone. But we connected, and hopefully he's going to be there and actually shoot the whole night and get to talk to some of the bands. And then we're going to do board recordings and see what pans out to maybe we can put out, live compilation. I think we're definitely going to take steps to do our best to preserve the event and hopefully, catch some really good stuff. I kind of feel like Lovegods are going to be amazing, and we're going to get some really good recordings of that Mike will say, not good enough. And it'll go into the basement somewhere. And I really expect some fire from Target Earth. I want to see, I'm looking forward to getting a recording of them and listening to that over and over again. And the Riddlers, I think that they're gonna bring it as well, because Dave and John have really they've never stopped playing. So they're pretty good. Dave is like, every time I look at that bastard on some YouTube video, and I was like, God, I went to high school with him, and it's like, that guy's not changed at all. How is he doing this like crazy kick? Yep. This foot above, it's just insane. So just while I'm thinking of that, John Washburn, I was in high school with him as well. He's an amazing drummer, and growing up with him and seeing him drum and the Termites and the End and some of those earlier bands was always a big inspiration for the music that we do.
We will put details to the show May 16th at Conduit, 6700 Aloma Avenue, Winter Park. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We're excited.
Thank you so much. We're looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's great to see you.
Our pleasure. Good to see you guys as well. We'll look forward to seeing you in person soon.